Now that Ethereum has completed its London hard fork, and every day ETH is getting burnt, the question obviously arises, what happened? I want to discuss this in this brief video. And what's my opinion? Is Ethereum gonna outperform Bitcoin? And all that in today's video, so stay tuned. Hey and welcome to today's video. My name is Julian. On my channel, it's all about making you crypto fit. I discuss the beautiful world of decentralization. I comment on various things, comment on Bitcoin, Ethereum, DeFi chain, other coins that I hold or that I look into. And obviously, I try to give you an objective, neutral view on the market. And today's video is a bit long overdue. I know I took a little bit of a break on live streaming. Simply has to do, I have a lot of work right now with my company Cake DeFi. Also, well, want to take care of my son that's getting close to a year. It's quite a lot of fun playing with him. I'm actually going to go for a run with him right after that brief video. He's just getting changed. So I thought I'll take 7 minutes and shoot something out here. And yeah, and then I just want to take care of myself as well. So just took a little bit of a summer pause. I mean, it's kind of over now. We see crypto prices going up. Summer is kind of over. So it's definitely time to discuss a couple of things here. And yeah, so if you're new, hey, I hope you subscribe so you don't miss out on anything. If you love this stuff, give me a thumbs up, share the stuff, comment, ask a couple of questions of things that I should add in future videos. So let's dive in. Ethereum had a hard fork at the beginning of August. Now, this is really important because many times when you compare this to other forks, in Ethereum, the entire ecosystem there kind of ticks along the same way. And pretty much anyone had to upgrade. If you didn't, you were really on a different strand. And that's very different, for example, if you compare it to Taproot on Bitcoin. So Ethereum upgraded and kind of everyone had to tag along. There were a couple of so-called EIPs in there, Ethereum improvement proposals, but I mainly want to focus on two. The very first one, very easy to explain. It is the difficulty bomb, the ice age that got delayed. Ethereum always has this difficulty bomb in there that once it hits, it becomes pretty much impossible to find a new block for a miner, and everyone has to switch over to staking. Now, since it's not possible yet, because the proof of stake kind of chain and the proof of work chain, this merger hasn't happened, and that should be happening further down the line. And with that difficulty bomb delay, we could actually kind of anticipate when is Ethereum planning on doing this? And so at the moment, they've delayed this for at least at the beginning of the new year. So after that, we should have some hope or some expectation that, yeah, Ethereum might see or attempt some kind of a merger. So definitely interesting to see all that. And the main one that I want to discuss is obviously EIP 1559 because it changes the economics of the transaction model, of the fee model. And initially, I thought this was going to be mostly focused around actually decreasing the fee, finding a bit of a fairer model for people using the chain. And I mean, I've had this massive kind of love-hate relationship with Ethereum since I'm in the entire space. I still remember, I got into the space 2014. I remember seeing Vitalik in Hong Kong in 2014. I think it was 2014, maybe it was 2015, but I would say 2014. And him talking about the advantages of Ethereum, and I was highly, highly skeptical. And well, I didn't invest in the ICO. I didn't invest very early. Actually, I bought my first ETH in 2016, in the summer after they had the fork between Ethereum and Ethereum Classic. So I know very low kind of price entry, $8. That was fantastic. I switched most of those ETH into actually my ICO that I had with my past company. And I actually bought a lot of the company tokens there. As you might know, this turned very sour when I got kicked out by my ex-founders, ex-partners. And I switched in 2019, I switched my tokens back first into Bitcoin and then into ETH. The trading volume between the token and ETH just wasn't high enough. But I switched that back and I didn't really lose much ETH. I didn't really gain much ETH. So it was kind of a net zero sum. But at the end, I still hold all those ETH from back then. And since then, I have actually bought more ETH simply because I've been dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin, which is my largest holding, into DeFi chain, which is my second largest holding, and Ethereum, which is my third largest holding. And so there's significantly an impact in my financial situation what Ethereum is doing. obviously way more with DeFi chain and way more even with Bitcoin. And so I care about that ecosystem, right? And the love-hate relationship always comes from also at Cake. We have integrated ETH on Cake, and it's just always a bit difficult. Transaction fees sometimes insane. It's quite complicated with all the smart contract systems. Obviously, you have bugs and hacks and I don't know, things like why our address is not checksummed and so on, right? There's a lot of things that just drive you a bit insane. Also, when you see customers having to deal with this and then getting a lot of customer support tickets that you would never get on Bitcoin. So it's just a bit of a love-hate relationship. And so I didn't expect all too much about that London hard fork. And again, it has nothing to do with London, right? So Ethereum just picks these random names like Constantinople and so on, Istanbul. They just pick these names, right? So it's not really specific to London. I just want to highlight that. But so with that hard fork, I didn't expect so much. And to kind of sum it up, what basically happened was, instead of everyone having to pick a random fee to kind of tip the miners in order to get your transaction into the block earlier, because the block space is limited. First of all, the block space got doubled, but at the end, there's now an algorithm that tries to pick a fee where every miner includes a transaction that historically makes the block half full. So it's still kind of the same size as before, but now you have a little bit of a fluctuation based on that more democratic or almost more like a socialist kind of fee. And initially, my expectation was that this system will mostly decrease fees, and that should work quite well. Well, to be honest, it didn't really decrease the average fee by so much. You still had a couple of times of spikes. We still need to see how the system works long term. But what got really interesting is that burn model. A lot of the excess fee basically gets burned. And so there's very little incentive for miners to take transactions that have a higher fee because it gets burned. And instead, miners are being incentivized by an additional new block reward, so that they're not missing out by that much revenue, but at the same time, they're not being incentivized to wait or to receive those high fee transactions. You can still tip off miners, but there's just not as much incentive anymore. And so what really surprised me was that the revenue for miners didn't really go down, which I had expected. It didn't. Also, the transaction cost didn't really go down that much. We don't see the spikes as much anymore. Very, to me, surprising. What did change is I didn't expect so many ETH to actually get burned. I think in the very first week, and now we have close to 2 weeks of that, over $100 million worth of ETH got burned. And that's a significant amount. I just want to put this out there, right? It's $100 million. So that basically means every single day, it's a lot of money kind of buying ETH, taking it off the market and just destroying it. It's not exactly deflationary yet. So the burn amount is still lower than the actual inflation amount. So it's still inflationary, just like Bitcoin. But in theory, in the future, there could be this point where every single day, more ETH is being taken out of circulation than it's being put in. So quite interesting model. And so definitely interesting. So obviously from my side as a pure investor, right? That's purely from an investor standpoint. I actually could think that ETH can really, really do well over the next 1, 2, 3 years. And I hope it does, because obviously it has a bit higher risk than Bitcoin, just because of its market cap and stability, and obviously always a bit of a regulatory uncertainty because of its ICO. Any coin that did an ICO has a bit of a regulatory uncertainty. So that's why Bitcoin or DeFi chain are not going to have this issue. There was just no ICO. Everything was basically given away, or people could get it for free. But that is a relevant point, right? And so I just want to make that. And so I'm actually quite hopeful that Ethereum is actually going to outperform Bitcoin. And I think it could. I mean, it has done so over the last year. It has done so over the last, I think, 2 years. So the investment definitely paid off. I think it's measured in Bitcoin, it's been fantastic, right? And obviously also when I got into ETH, and I used Bitcoin to get into ETH at $8 about 5 years ago. I mean, it's been absolutely bonkers, right? To just see what's been happening since then. But yeah, I'm quite hopeful. Now, obviously the question, could Ethereum flip Bitcoin? This, I'm not that sure, because it would take really massive kind of leadership also, right? And obviously being able to spearhead the entire ecosystem. Whoever sits at that number one spot has to spearhead the entire movement. And so Ethereum doesn't have to be number one and it could still outperform. And that's a bit of my kind of idea here. So definitely bullish on Bitcoin, definitely bullish on DeFi chain, definitely bullish on Ethereum, but I still don't think Ethereum is gonna take away Bitcoin from the #1 spot. It would take a little bit more than that. So that's a bit of my kind of view on that. I wouldn't be surprised if on Ethereum we see the, I don't know, 5 to 10,000, maybe 8,000 this year kind of limit, right? So yeah, if we see maybe Bitcoin doing a doubling this year, maybe Ethereum can do like a tripling this year, right? I could foresee that, and I think that would definitely be interesting. So these are my thoughts here on Ethereum, on the performance, on the impact of the hard fork. Let me know what you think about this. What do you think about Ethereum? What do you think about potential price targets this year? Talk to me about Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Obviously, the flippening, I don't believe in that, but sure. And yeah, any other questions? Maybe other video topics that you would love me to comment on. With that, I hope you get value out of this. If you do, subscribe, follow. See you next time. Thanks so much. Yours truly, Julian. Bye-bye.